Welcome to Positive Energy with Crystals. My name's Hillary, and today we're doing something a little different. You can see I'm outside because I thought it was kind of fitting to come outside to talk about the hashtag I'm doing. I am participating in Summers from Astari Sense hashtag Finding the Fae. And also, it's really hot and humid, and I didn't want to shut the air conditioners off in the camper and the dehumidifier, and I didn't want to have to keep stopping. So I want to be uninterrupted while I do this video. So if you haven't watched Summer's video, I will put it in the link in the description. Also, I'm going to put Aries witchcraft video in there too, because I'm going to mention Courtney's video in here a little bit too. So it's kind of making me a little emotional. This is, I don't know, it's well timed, I guess. So make sure you watch Summer's video first, because she explains a lot. But the first journal prompt thing is how you define the Fae and what do you already believe about them. So it was funny because I thought that I was starting off new to working with the Fae. And I'm watching Hummingbird, sorry, got distracted. And then Summer was talking about what could be considered Fae. And have you ever, okay, this will probably date me, but do you remember the cartoon, The Littles? I loved that cartoon. It was awesome. And as she's kind of explaining stuff, I realized that, well, so I was listening to her description and just all these memories came flooding in. And I remember it was my first grade classroom. We were in an old, like really, really old building. It's so old that the building, it's been down, they tore it down years ago. I think first grade was the last year that I was there for that building. They built a new elementary and it did a bunch of rearranging. But anyway, we were in the basement, and that's where like the cafeteria and I think first and second grade were down there, and I think there were some offices down there, and it was a multi-level building, which is why it couldn't work. You came in the door, you had to go upstairs to the offices even. So there were, and the library was on the like third or fourth, I think it was only 3 stories tall, but it was a big deal to get to go up to the library once a week because that was at the top. And us first graders, you know, we're down, I can't even remember where the gym was, but anyway, so we were in the basement and we were at the bottom of the steps, so there was a lot of noise in the hallway and stuff. But I remember with the Littles being so popular, our teacher told us that when you walked in the door, there was this big vent. It's like, you know, it was a pretty big vent. And it didn't really have a purpose. Nobody knew what it was for. And my teacher actually took it off once, and there was just like blocks of wood stacked in there. Just like little blocks of wood. And we couldn't, it didn't really look like an air intake or anything like that. So he told us that the Littles lived in there. They were the ones that put the wood in there. And it was awesome. First graders, we loved that. And it was a popular show at the time, so it was perfect for us. And it just, having an adult tell you that they were in there, kind of, I don't know, it made it more real for one, but it kind of made me use them in other ways. Or not really use them, but I don't know. I'll keep going. So, around, probably a couple years later, my family moved to a house that, once again, I'm in the basement. My bedroom was in the basement. All three of us kids, our room was in the basement. But the house, it was a basement and then the upper story. And then at some point, they had added on to the back of the house. And it had to have been a really small house to begin with, because the living room and dining room were above our bedrooms. And then the back of the house that had been added on was the kitchen, laundry room, my parents' bedroom, and the bathroom. But when they added onto that house, there were 2 windows on the back of the house. So they added on the house and they left the windows. So in my bedroom, I had this, like, I had a window to underneath the stairs, and it creeped me out. And when you came down the stairs towards my brother's bedroom, there was another window right there too, and that one was creepier because it was darker. The one in my room, you could see more wood, and in the hallway, or in that little entry, you went one way to my brother's and you came straight into my room. It was dark, and I didn't like either one. But I took the littles, believing that they were in there taking care of stuff, and making sure that there was no creepy things in the walls or under the house or anything like that. And so to me, at that point, they were sort of a protector. I don't know, it just felt like they were there in the classroom, and not just because my teacher said so, but it just, I don't know, it felt like they were there. And then in that house, it felt like they were there. And then, there were just so many other things that I would have dreams about, finding little, or making friends with little, like, human looking things. I don't know, kind of like the littles. But when I started thinking about the littles, I was researching, because I just wanted a picture to use for this video that I've probably already put up by now. And it brought back so many memories. And I actually found some episodes on YouTube, and one of them I started playing, and it felt right. And it was, I think it was the very first episode, but what it was is Grandpa, the kids were trying to get an apple that they're the littles, and then Henry, the little boy that lives in the house, his parents were missing, so he was gonna have to go live with an uncle. So I don't know if housekeeper or something was helping him get ready to go. And so the littles, Grandpa and the 2 kids, used a fork and got the apple, and they took it back to where Mom and Dad were. And the dad said, we always have to make sure that we do something for the human. So if you took the apple, you got to make sure you do something for Henry. And so they were trying to figure out what to do for him because he was leaving. And I had to stop it there because there's other stuff going on, but it felt, like how we work with, well, my garden gnomes, how I work with them now. And I do stuff for them and they do stuff for me, and I don't know, it's hard not to get, I don't know why it makes me emotional. But so from there, after I watched Summers, then not long after, Courtney from Aries Witchcraft posted her video, and she was talking about how I felt, about them being guides. And I started thinking back to all the times, like, when they were scary in that, or the scary windows in the house, and kind of even being in the basement of that big, huge school as a first grader. But we knew that the littles were there to help us out, and even later on, just, I don't know, just thinking that there was something there to be supportive and help guide me through certain things. You know, I always hear stories about like the Fae stealing stuff, and then just all of a sudden it appears. And I started thinking about all the times that that's happened. Pieces of jewelry that have gone missing then just show up in the weirdest spots, and that usually happen during like really hard times. And it still happens. I'll lose something and then it just shows up in the weirdest spot. So I think to me it's that they're there not so much as well, sort of as a protector, but also to show me that I'm not alone in certain situations. and kind of guide through hard times. Does that make sense? But also, I think they're kind of, you know, I also work with Hestia and Poseidon and sometimes Hermes. And then it feels different. And I'll talk about Poseidon more here in a little bit. But there's dogs barking. It feels different. Hestia is my house protector or camper protector. She makes sure that our home is safe. Poseidon and I are just kind of figuring out our relationship, but he is like, he's major protector, especially during storms and stuff like that. And my little gnomes that I started working with recently, they're protector, but they also remind me that to have fun, and just that it's to work hard but also to have fun during that. And I don't know, it's all new, and I know I've kind of read ahead to some of her other prompts, and so I don't want to get into that now, but I don't know, it's just, to me they're like a comfort, a protector, and a guide all together, but in a fun way. You know, like Hestia and Poseidon, they've got a job and that's their focus, and they're not gonna joke around with me and cause trouble and in fun ways and just be silly. But my gnomes are fun, and things I'll show you later. I think next week is when I'll show you my little garden. But I don't know, since I've started working with them, I've noticed a change. Just being outside more, for one, you know, is a big deal. It's changed my mood, and sorry, my nose is stuffed up. Allergies. And it's changed my confidence. I've created, this is very, you know, we're in an RV park. This is a very temporary place. And I've set up my little happy spot with flowers and tomatoes that don't want to live, and a basil plant that keeps dying, but my strawberries are doing great. But I'll go into it later. And my hummingbirds. Can't forget my hummingbirds. The reason they're not flying around my head right now is because I filled the feeders before I started doing this, because I tried to come out here and do it earlier, and they said I needed to hurry up and take care of them. Anyway, so next, okay, so she had a tarot spread, but I did mine differently. So I like tarot, and I use it, but I'm not as confident. Plus, I'm a crystals channel. I gotta use crystals. So I decided to use, the camera's overheating, it doesn't want to be outside, my pendulum. And in my little bag of charms. I think since my camera's overheating out here, I'm going to take you inside and set you up like when I do my crystal videos and show you exactly how I did this reading. Now, I did do it off camera just because I needed to make sure it was going to work, for one, but also I needed time to process it. So I'm going to move back inside. I may have to shut one air conditioner off, and we'll go from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. In just that little bit of time, I was outside, which basically when I was doing the video, the temperature raised 10 degrees, which is why my battery started overheating. But anyway, all right, so next I'm going to talk about the tarot layout that Summer came up with. So what I did, because I'm not using the tarot deck, like I said, I'm using my pendulum, and this is my amethyst one. It looks really dark, but it's definitely purple here in my hand. Well, you can kind of see. Now, a lot of people use them for, just pendulums just for yes and no. I had my husband make these pendulum boards for me. And I can actually, I get answers. I'll ask a question, and it'll spell out a word or go to a number or whatever. Now, in this case, I was using charms as backup, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. But I've got this bag. I have tons of charms, and then these are the ones I pulled out, and once I get to the question, I'll tell you what each set means. So the very first question is, how can working with the Fae benefit me? So I asked my pendulum, and it spelled out M-U-N-N-E. Now, a lot of time when I do this, it'll spell something out that's weird, and I thought, maybe since I'm working with the Fae, maybe it was like they misspelled it on purpose and it spelled money. But no. So when I do this, a lot of the times I have to Google or look up in a dictionary what the word is that pendulum spelled out. Sometimes it doesn't give me, it's pretty much just, I'm not going to get a sentence. Now, sometimes I've gotten 2 words, but it's usually just 1 word, and then I have to do the research to figure out what it was. So, M-U-N-N-E, I'm assuming it's Mune or Mune? I don't know. So, I looked that up, and it means to run, flow, empty, discharge into larger river, lake, the sea, of a river, go with the flow. So after finding out the meaning of it, how can working with the Fae benefit me? Go with the flow. So through the process of living in our camper, moving to Oklahoma, I want things to happen on a schedule, and that hasn't happened. and I'm very impatient. I have no patience for it. I want a schedule. I want to know when things are going to happen, and that's 3 years for somebody that needs a schedule and a plan to just go with the flow. That's been crazy. A lot of my tarot readings are in Oracle, Lenormand, the charms, pendulum. A lot of them keep talking about patience, and I get mad every time I get that because I have no more patience. Now I'm getting go with the flow. So I think that's progress. They're not telling me to be patient anymore. They're telling me just to go with what happens. I still don't like it, but whatever. So question number 2. What fear of the Fae may I be holding on to? So in this case, my pendulum just went in a pretty large clockwise motion. Sometimes that means that it doesn't want to answer, and sometimes it's too big of an answer that it can't spell it out. So I asked it if I should use the charms to answer, and it swung in the yes position or direction. So my first set of charms, can you see that? Was my little saw and then a little open book. So the saw, I need my notes. The saw is cut off. And these are my meanings. It's not everybody. One of the good things about charms is you can come up with your own meanings, which I really liked. And then my little book here means stories or knowledge. So cut off stories or knowledge. So I took it as let's see, cut off the stories of what I know about the Fae. Now, that is a fear I'm not so sure about. I think, well, when I first started my practice, I heard stories about how the Fae can be mean, or if you upset them, then they'll retaliate, or cause problems, or trap you in their world, or whatever. So that, to me, that was kind of scary, and I was real worried about working with any of them. But because of Summer and her videos, I kind of got over that fear and that kind of weird feeling. So I don't know how this is okay, no, I do know how. So I guess I still have that fear, I think is what they're saying. That my fear is that cutting off the knowledge or the stories that, like, Summer or other people that have worked with Fae, all the good stories, that's going to be cut off. So I guess subconsciously I still have the fear, even though I don't think I do, but apparently in the back of my mind I still have that fear. So that's what I took that. So number 3, how can I address this fear? Once again, the pendulum didn't want to answer it. It wanted me to use the charms. So we've got, try and do this one-handed. My little hammer and my little shark. So in my charms, my hammer is to create or make something, and my shark is a danger lurking. So how can I address this fear? I need to create a lurking danger. Now, that sounded not such a good idea at first. But then how do I explain this? I have been working with a lot with Poseidon. And he came to me, and at first I didn't really understand. I live in Oklahoma. There's no oceans, or there's a lot of water. We've got a lot of lakes and a lot of rivers and creeks and all that. Rain. We've had 2 record-breaking months of rain. So, and I've been drawn to a lot. I've always been drawn to water, but I've been drawn to water a lot more. I've even been doing a lot of water magic with moon water, storm water, stuff like that. I believe, I'm very confident, that this meant that I needed to create that lurking danger of, if the bad stuff does happen, Poseidon will take care of it, because he's my protector. Like I was saying when I was outside, Hestia is also a protector. She protects our home. But as overall, Poseidon is my main protector. And he keeps the bad stuff away. Like that. So my fear is that the stories that I've heard of the good stuff might still be... those might be cut off. But if I create the lurking danger that if something bad does happen with the Fae, that Poseidon will be there to take care of it, and that I need to create that, not really that threat, but that, I guess, that feeling that, don't mess with me. If you're bad, don't mess with me, because I've got backup. So that's what I was there. Now we get a little weird. Okay, I had to take a air conditioner break. I'm not shutting it off, so when it runs, I'm letting it go. But it's too hot and humid to not let it run. So, question 4, like I was saying, is where it got a little weird. Now, this is also where I need to explain why I chose my amethyst pendulum. So, number 4 is, what first foundational step can I take? Amethyst is my crystal. It's especially the darker. So I trust amethyst to help me through. It's my anti-anxiety crystal. It keeps me calm. It's a little bit of protection. So doing this, I used my amethyst because I knew that it would it'd give me true answers, and I could trust it. My backup was, I've got a black tourmaline one. Okay, so it spelled out no very quickly, and then it just came to a dead stop. It didn't go back and forth in the no direction. It spelled out no. That's never happened to me before. So I took that as, we're not going to answer. No, we're not answering this question. So then I asked it, should I use the charms? And then it swung no. So that was it. It said, we're not answering this question, which was a little confusing at first. But then I kind of realized that maybe it's because I've already taken the first steps, which makes question number 5 make more sense. So let's go to number 5. What aspect of the Fae do I need to understand right now? So it did the counterclockwise movement again, and I've got and then I asked it if I should use the charms, and it said yes, and it gave me my little double-decker bus and little ballet slippers. So the double-decker bus is a unique view of something, and the ballet slippers to me is progress. So I've got a unique view of my progress that I've made, and I took that as that I've made with them so far. Not just my current, but like I was talking before of when I was a kid, that I've already started working with them. So, you know, I've already had the first steps. I've made steps currently in my little garden and my gnomes outside, and I watch for signs with them. And question number 4, that they're not answering that. And then number 5, what aspect of the Fae do I need to understand right now? It's that I need a unique perspective on the progress that I've already made with them. That this isn't as new. Working with them isn't as new as I thought it was. That I have been working with them. So that kind of really made me think more of the littles, and that they really were there, not necessarily the littles, but something was there to help me through the scary basement bedroom, which the bedroom wasn't really that scary, it's just that space was a little scary. And other times where I felt that something was there helping me through stuff. So that is my first video and the VR2 Summers video. I'm so excited. She said on Tuesday that she should have another video out in a couple days, so I keep refreshing my YouTube subscriptions, and it's not out yet. So I guess I will start editing this video and impatiently wait for her next video. And I've got a whole bunch of other videos that I've got started that I need to finish, and so I should really focus on that instead of waiting for Summer to post her video. If you do this hashtag finding the Fae, be sure to use the hashtag in your description and title and all that, so that we can all find them later, because this is so much fun. And you know, so far we've had Summer's and then Courtney's videos, and it just makes me excited, and I'm very excited to be doing these videos, and I can't wait to do the next one. So I will be impatiently waiting for the next one. I will see you next time.